Hi, thanks for joining us today. With us, we have John Buglino from Optessa. Welcome, John.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
John, can you do me a favor and explain a little bit about kind of your background and how you fit and how Optessa fits as well? Like, I want to kind of get the story.
Yeah, no, absolutely no. Thanks again for having me. So, John Buglino, current role, Director of Sales and Marketing for Optessa, in my 17th year of marketing, which is insane to think about. As I say it, I started my career actually doing consumer research. So doing like little consumer research and calling people to interview them about different products and having them give us a little feedback. So almost like a little like panel discussions and focus group marketing. And from there, I went into finance and worked for a small bank out of Long Island, New York, and then progressed my career, started working in software sales for a leading HR provider, then did a little quick bump into hardware, which was a complete departure to everything I've been working on, and then landed back at Optessa doing software sales again, and have been here for going on 3.5 years. It's been absolutely amazing to be part of the team in this industry, dealing with supply chain issues. So I joined Optessa right before the pandemic started, and then having to do everything while working remotely, and also being a new employee was challenging, but we made it, and we're here today. So that's really what where I am now, and looking forward to doing more with the company and continuing to help us grow.
That's a great, it's almost as if we scripted this segue. That's a great segue to the next question, John. And I think the question I want to ask here is about who is the kind of target market for Optessa? What does that look like in terms of demographic? What does it look like in terms of, market cap, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so right now, or not right now, but Optessa, when we started, we really targeted the enterprise manufacturers, so global manufacturers, and really cut our teeth in automotive. So we've had global auto OEMs that have been our clients from the very beginning back in 2001. We still have that client today, and we continue to grow with them and also add on new logos. So the platform is applicable to many industries, but we're strongest in discrete manufacturing and have started landing new logos in batch or process manufacturing. And really at the core of it, we look for manufacturers that have the 3 Vs. So if you are produce something that has value, that is volume, and most importantly is variety, because we want to make sure that the software and the platform is able to give you your solution no matter the complexity. So it's not for the paperclip manufacturer, it's more for the manufacturer that has a high amount of variability. Like, for example, like I mentioned, automotive, different cars and parts and different things going in and out of the vehicles, things like that. So that's really what we look for. So we're looking to support manufacturers, really any size, that have at least 2 of the Vs. So value, volume, variety are the 3 Vs. So we're open to support any manufacturer in that realm.
So how I can't imagine, somebody's wandering around with like a, speech bubble above their head saying, I need exactly what you have to offer. How are you getting in front of these folks? It sounds like you're talking about a hyper specific, not only market segment, but, role in an organization. And that must make your job as a marketing director much, much more difficult. So kind of walk us through your thinking process on how you're approaching the market and how you're getting in front of those folks.
Yeah, so the best thing about the industry that we're in right now is also the worst. So with supply chain issues and disruptions happening and changing seemingly daily, we're really facing and targeting operations leaders that are experiencing pain. And what we like to say is we really don't care about the pain you're experiencing. Just help us understand your problem and let us know your data inputs or your inputs to have us help you, right? So we're targeting operations leaders that really are trying to handle supply chain disruptions and also dealing with their operations in Excel or spreadsheets or 10 spreadsheets or 100 spreadsheets, things like that. So the targeting is really around telling our stories and really around keeping our finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world, because there's so many different peaks and valleys and dips and changes that we have to make sure that we remain really top of mind and really understand what's happening in the industry. So if there are changes, for example, the shift of the auto OEM going from internal combustion engines to EVs, and that's a huge push right now. And then other things like digital transformation. That's something that everyone always talks about, everyone always hears about, but no one really knows what that really means. So what we do is we really target manufacturers going through a digital transformation journey, and they could be at any number of steps within that transformation journey. So we support you, whether you're looking to go from pen and paper to now digitizing. We're also, if you're currently digital and want to mature your digital, I guess you say, tools. So if you're going from random sheets or shared drives or Excel, and you want to go to, say, like an ERP or WMS, or you're looking to mature, we're there for you as well. And then we're also there for those that are full blown into digital transformation, have an ERP, have different systems, have things integrated, have things connected, and they're looking to get that optimal kind of look of everything and saying, we have all the data, we just don't know what we're looking at, and we don't know which to handle first. So we really are targeting by keeping what's going on in the industries top of mind, and we're also addressing the pain points as a result of those topics that are in the industry as well. And we're doing it across different social media platforms. We're doing it by reaching out to our customers to understand what's next, not only from a 3-month or a 6-month, but what's like your next 18 to 24 months plans looking like. And then we're looking at that as using that as messaging to then go to our prospects and other customers and say, here's what we're seeing, here's what we're hearing. Are we on the right track? Can we help you with this as well? To help us understand what your next 3 and 6 months look like. And then let's look at your next 18 to 24, and let's see if we can find some common ground and see how we can support and fit.
Gotcha. So is there a place that your target market is sort of congregating? Do they hang out together? I mean, it sounds, like I said, this is like a kind of a tough slice in the market, like to find all these folks. I can't imagine if you're ever going to find them all in one spot, but is there specific places you're targeting or frequenting? Social media is a pretty big description. And for the folks that are looking, so the reason I asked the question, let's go into that real quick, is because the folks that are listening to the show here that are trying to figure out, their own marketing sort of problems and challenges, are often going to be faced with I have no idea where my guys are. Where am I going to find my peeps? And so I'm asking you quite clearly for your business, where are you going to find your peeps?
Yeah, and it's a loaded question, but it's a fun one. So I'm with Optessa going on 3.5 years, and it's been 3.5 years of trial and error. You have to try new things. You have to try different channels, try different media, try everything you can till you land that sweet spot. So, for example, right now, my prospects aren't on, say, TikTok. However, they are on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So, and that's just by me not only speaking to the customers and also the prospects, but also just using the data to guide me to say, if we are utilizing content or publishing content on different channels, where are our peaks, where are our valleys? And it goes to the point of, you don't have to be everywhere to everyone, because then you're nothing to no one. Be where you need to be, figure it out, and double, sometimes triple down on those efforts. Another example I'll give is, it's very seldom that our prospects are searching us on insert search engine here. It's pretty much a waste of money to target with ads and things like that, because the operations leaders don't look on the search engines for results and for vendors like us. They talk to those in their networks. They research heavily on the different social platforms and also on YouTube, just to kind of understand what's happening there. And they also really leverage trade shows as well, or industry events. So what we've done is we've gone and done a multi-pronged effort where we do double and triple down on those social media platforms, but then we talk to our customers and prospects to understand where they're going to be from an event standpoint, and we join them as well, right? So that could be going in person, that could be a sponsorship, that could be some kind of networking event and things like that, and make sure we reach out to that associate and say, we want to get involved, and here's why. Because you are targeting our customers, and our customers are going to be there, and we can provide value to not only our customers, but others like our customers in your association. So it's really, it takes a long time, which I think a lot of people in marketing understand, but those outside of marketing don't really understand. So you have to come up with a plan and run your test over certain periods of time, right? And these conclusions that I just listed, I didn't all of a sudden wake up one day and say, I'm not going to focus on search engine optimization or SEM or paid ads. I'm using the data as my North Star to say, here's why we're there or why we're not there. And if we are there, here's what we need to do to make sure that we maximize what we're getting out of it. And once we have that plan in place, it's everything that drives what you do from a marketing and sales standpoint.
Gotcha. So how do you decide what makes the cut? I mean, I know like the experimentation side, I think a lot of folks may understand that, you know, any approach to business is going to be some level of testing and experimentation. But how do you know when to cut from that test? Like, oh yeah, well, we tried on Reddit and we gave it 3 months and nothing. Or how do you know that your approach needs to be iterated as opposed to that channel needs to be abandoned?
Yeah, it's a matter of set expectations of what you're hoping to achieve with your tests. So if you're expecting MQLs or demos as a result of a campaign, like have that be a realistic expectation. Don't set too lofty of goals there. So if you're just starting a new channel, like it's really unrealistic to say you're going to get 5, 10, 15 in the first month of launching on that channel. You need at least 90 days to even decide if this is even worth it. And a lot of marketers in the industry and others that I speak to abandon before they get to that 90-day mark. And I say, you don't have enough data to support anything at that point. So we use at least a 90, sometimes even longer kind of test and say, here's what we're going to do. Here's the content we're going to use to support it. Here's what internal, external factors could be in play, but we need to give it at least 90 days to give us an idea of what's happening here. And over those tests, we do different things. So for example, we try audio only, audio and video. We try short form text, long form text. We try, different types of things across different channels or on those channels to see what's really resonating. And then look back at the data and say, okay, on this channel, so YouTube, it's not lengthy videos, it's shorts, or it's these little 15, 30-second kind of segments that are really driving the engagement. Then when you flip over to other social channels, we need to put short form or short text and then drive into the website and then control that experience to make sure that what they see on the social platform and then what they're brought to on the site match. Because that's the last thing you want to do is to have that mismatch, because then you're like, well, I promoted an ebook and then I brought them to the site and I wanted a demo and no one wanted the demo and everyone's yelling at me that they wanted the ebook. So you have to be consistent with your messaging there. So lay it out. It's a lot of work. I think that's the other line thing, Brian, is there is a lot of work and it takes time. And if you can set those parameters and set those expectations, you're doing your job and you're going to get the right data to support you moving forward. Right? Because if you just on the whim say, oh, we're just going to pull the plug on that channel because you know what? I didn't like what happened there. That's really not helping anybody. We're not going to utilize that channel because we ran a 120-day test. Here's the expectations, here's the cost, and here's the return. I think we need to either move away from it and maybe reallocate for the next 4, 5, 6 months to a different channel. Here's the test we're going to run there. If it goes well, then you would just flip it and say, here's what we did. Here's the expectations. We're far exceeding. Here's where I'm going to ask you for more money or more budget, or here's what we're going to do to double down on the efforts to capitalize on what we found.
So that sort of testing, testing experimentation or model, trial and error. becomes kind of central to the process. How many tests do you guys conduct on an annual basis for your marketing approach? Just on average, so we can kind of help some of the listeners set a baseline for what that might look like in an organization like yours.
Yeah, so at minimum, we're running quarterly tests, but we've experimented running tests every month and having things kind of run in tandem or in conjunction with each
Yeah.
other. Yeah, concurrent kind of testing here, because you can't just say, okay, for the next 3 months, all we're going to focus on is social, because then you let everything else kind of fade. So we're testing stuff on social, we're testing some things on the website, we're doing stuff on pay-per-click, things like that. But again, it's okay to run the concurrent test as long as you set your expectations and you make sure that you are consistent with what you're promoting and also what your messaging is to your prospects and customers there. So bare minimum, I've done 4 tests in a year, but we've also done places where we've run up to monthly tests or multiple tests in a given quarter or a given month.
So the testing and all of that you've done, I guess the natural and you talked about a loaded question earlier. The real loaded question is how are you tracking all of that effort into ROI, right? So that's the only test that the C-suite cares about. How are you able to pull through some of the brand building and the kind of customer training and education that you're going to be doing? Tons of T&Es in this episode. All of that. How are you tracking all of that effort in terms of the return on investment or return on investment capital?
Yeah, so the easiest answer is we have a wonderful CRM. So we are using HubSpot internally, but we're tracking everything at a granular level to make sure we can report back on the ROI without getting too into the weeds of just I've seen over analyzing a data and really looking at things from like 15 different angles. It's money in, money out, and return. So it's very simple. So if we spend $20,000 on a campaign, here's the expectations of how many MQLs we're going to get, how many SQLs we're going to get, and how much we're going to get as far as further down the pipeline. So then we can easily calculate things. And we don't get into the details of like multi-touch attribution, all those kind of things. It's guys, we're on this channel. It's a social channel. And here's what we're going to run. Here's the campaign. Here's the goalpost. Here's the parameters. Go. Right. And it's a 6-month engagement. Here's the expectations. We'll tweak and massage along the way, but that's really it. We're not going to really stress over the attribution side of things. It's going to be, here's $20,000. Here's what we expected to get at the end of 6 months. We can pivot, we can change as needed, but that's really what it is. Everything lives in the CRM so that there's no real fighting and there's no real qualms about it. It's here's when it launched, here's what we're doing, here's all the assets, here's the returns, and everyone's aligned to it. And we as a business, we report back on a weekly basis around how the campaigns are going, because I can't do it myself. So I have my team that helps. I have my extended team that helps from a platform demo perspective and things like that. So if I say we're going to do this over the next 6 months and you can expect, 6 demos, like one a month, say, my team now knows, okay, at least once a month, John's going to be coming to me to ask for a demo with $1 billion more company. Or right. We can expect at least one demo a month coming from that channel or that test. Let's be prepared for it. And the give back is I'll make sure that I don't ask them the next day for a demo and give them enough time to kind of prepare. Right. And I'm speaking that from experience, but at the same time, you have to be able to realistically set the expectations, right? And get to the point where you can look at it from a level of detail without completely exhausting everything and analysis paralysis. It's you spent X, you got out Y. Yes or no, do we go forward with it or do we do it again? Like, just simplify it.
So out of curiosity, and I think this, I got like now a dozen questions, but we'll try with 2. First is kind of an academic one, I guess. What is your typical customer acquisition cycle time look like? How long does it take from maybe initial contact through to close deal for you?
Ideal state, 6 months. Current state, it's at least 12 to 18, just because there's so much reliant on the customer side, and everyone that we're talking to is in this firefighting mode. So it's very hard for the person in charge of the operation to dedicate the time needed to implement a new platform or new software. So
you're in a complex organizational sale. It's not going to be
easy.
3 weeks, right? It's going to,
no.
Right. And if it is, you're avoiding that client like the plague.
Oh yeah, because that's completely unrealistic from their standpoint. And usually the next question is, do you have the data to support this? And then it's no. It's like, well, we can't do it in a month. Like, it just can't happen. So that's really what it is. So ideally, if everything all according to plan, it's 6 months. 6 months, and that's realistic, right? So if I'm looking at the calendar right now, I need prospects now, and then
to make your
utopian
numbers,
state, it would be
December,
to get stuff for December. Anything past it, it's 2024, right? Oh, it's May, and I'm already talking 2024, but it's realistic. And I think that's something as well, is to your question, you have to understand your cycle, the cycle times, and that also should impact how you spend money on the marketing standpoint. Because if you're doing stuff in Q3 and expecting to close by the end of the month with a 6-month cycle, never going to happen.
Right.
So that's the whole piece of it there. So yeah, it's a complex cycle. And I think the last data I was looking at, there's now 18 people involved in an enterprise sales or enterprise SaaS kind of decision. And usually we're talking to like 2 or 3 people to start. So we know we're in for the long haul.
Yeah.
So that's a whole process on our end and things like that.
Yeah, the whole stakeholder analysis party and all that kind of stuff, and how you're going to get to the right decision maker and who's really the decision maker versus the fake one. So no, that I understand, and that's a much more nuanced conversation. It's going to be specific to every business,
right?
I think the natural kind of sort of close to wrap up question here is, so that all was sort of new client acquisition. In terms of direct marketing, what are you guys doing in context of referral marketing for the business? I imagine, like any business, you get a fair amount of your clients by referrals. You talked about a little bit earlier about your clients kind of asking each other, or prospects asking each other, the people in the business talking to each other at the trade shows and stuff. How are you actively cultivating those referral relationships?
Yeah, so the beauty with Optessa is, when we started, our first 5 customers all came from referrals. And it was, everyone wanted to have the platform because it was just working so well. And it was, this is actually not only competitive advantage, but it's just an operational advantage. So we've been, blessed with being able to grow by word of mouth of our customers, because we're able to go up over and above. And to answer your question more directly, we hold a conference every fall with our customers, where we get everyone together, and we want to make sure everyone has the conversations and everyone understands what's happening, not only from our solution standpoint, but also what's happening with the customers, because everyone's on a digital transformation journey. Everyone wants to know where you are, how you do it, what you're doing, why you're doing it, things like that. And at the end of the day, so we have at least one event where we bring all of our customers together. The other piece is that we have dedicated project managers to each of our customers that are constantly talking and educating and explaining what's happening, and also where we fit elsewhere, right? Because everyone has a network and everyone is connected to other people within different companies. So customer A knows someone at customer B, or this person at customer B used to work at this tremendous manufacturer, and can you get us in there, and can you articulate our value? So we're leveraging that and our own network of customers to say, where else can we help? Who else do you know that we can help with our platform? Can you make an introduction for us? Will you make an introduction for us? And that's what we've been really focusing on, and has been a core focus for us this year. It started, I would say 2 years ago, we started doing that with our user conference when we launched one, and we did one last year. And the organic conversation that comes out during these events is just amazing, because not only do you have a captive audience, you have the people that make the decisions in the event. So you don't have the intern, no offense to the interns, the intern talking to the CMO or the CFO. You have the 2 CFOs of these global manufacturers talking to each other, sharing notes, understanding things. And it's behind closed doors, so they'll talk to each other openly about things. And then at the end of it, we're the common denominator. So now we understand, hey, what happened in the conversation? What are you guys talking about? What's your roadmap and things like that? So then we can kind of at least open the door and have those conversations. So it's a huge focus for us. And we know we can grow using the referrals and using our customers to help us into other future customers.
That's awesome. All right, John, we're getting real close to wrapping it up here. And I guess the last two questions. First, who should reach out to you and how should they get a hold of you is probably step one. And then I'll get to step two in a second.
So the easiest thing is any operations leader or manufacturer, no matter your size, find me on my website, go to optessa.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Either way, I'll be responding to you. So whether you send me a DM or you submit a form on the website, that's the easiest way to get engaged with me. If you're using Excel or manual processes to handle your operations, there's a better way. Please contact me. I'm really open and really want to help you.
And in your journey to become the marketing guru that you are, what are the three biggest things you picked up along the way?
Three things. So the number one thing that immediately jumps out is networking. You absolutely have to build your network. You absolutely have to leverage those around you. You have to ask those questions of people around you put it this way, if anyone gives you the opportunity to look at their network and ask for introductions or allows you to get introduced to someone in their network, take advantage of that. Take them and say, okay, here's three people. I looked at your network. I want you to introduce me. Or do you feel that it'd be valuable for me to be introduced to these three people? So networking is number one. Number two, empathy. Lead with empathy. And because at the end of the day, people buy from people, and you have to understand that. And you have to make sure you connect with them on that level. And the third one is adaptability. You have to be adaptable, especially in marketing, but especially in enterprise sales. There's so much going on, being adaptable. You have to understand what's happening in the organizations. You have to assume everything is just in flux. You have to assume that there's so many things that are going to be changing. Conversation to conversation, it's been changing. I've had conversations in my history where the person was the stakeholder, then the person was leaving the company, like within 2 weeks. And it was like, what is happening? So you really need to grow your network and network like hell. You have to. The world is such a small place once you start looking at the networks of those around you. Empathy, lead with empathy, and be adaptable. Those are my three.
That's awesome. And I think I can resonate very clearly with that, the network and adaptability kind of together in that you never know. Today's customer might be tomorrow's boss, right?
Yes.
Or the other way around, right? You might be hiring your former boss or what have you to solve these problems. And I've seen it all the time. So yeah, definitely a gold star for that one.
Awesome.
John, I want to thank you so much for your time and for being on the show today. And please keep us in mind as you grow and advance. And if you have additional stuff you want to share, circle back with us.
Sounds great, Brian. It's been a pleasure. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Consulting Trap. If you have suggestions for future episodes or would like to be a guest on our show, please send me an email at brian@podcastchef.com. That's BRIAN at PODCASTCHEF.com. Before we go, we'd like to thank the sponsor of our show, Podcast Chef. Podcast Chef helps turn ordinary podcasting into a revenue-generating lead magnet for your consulting business. Our Podcasting Done For You service takes away the headache of starting up and running your own podcast. Reach out now to take advantage of our 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit us at podcastchef.com to find out how our team of experts can help you leverage podcasting to take your business to the next level.